spaces that's going to give you all the information you need to know. I would strongly suggest, if you haven't gotten in there, jump in there and check it out. There's no downside. And right now, if you jump in and play for about a half hour to an hour, you're going to get a free NFT avatar that you can create yourself and customize. So a lot of cool things going on there. But I really want to jump over to our guests. So what we're going to do is we'll do quick introductions, kind of tell us about yourselves, what you're building, what got you into the space, and then we'll jump into some questions for the group. What we'll do is I'll call on you guys to start, and before I forget, I always forget to say this, feel free to post and pin tweets to the top of the spaces. We love to see the videos, the graphics, just so that people can see all the exciting stuff you guys are working on. We definitely want everyone to know the good stuff. So without further ado, let's jump over to the BitLayer team first. I know we've got Sky and Kevin, so either one of you or both of you, feel free to start us off with intros.
Yeah, I'd like to take this first. I'm the co-founder of BitLayer. My name is Kevin. We actually are building a BTC Layer 2 based on big VM paradigms. And we're going to contribute it to Big VM and using Big VM to solve two major problems in Bitcoin Layer 2 sector. First is about the trustless bridge. Second is about the L1 verification. Which means that after resolving these two problems, the BTC layer 2s can be the real layer 2s and will be the roll-up equivalent models. It can inherit the security level from the Bitcoin itself. Yeah, this is what we are doing.
Yeah, just to chime in, I'm Sky, doing digital marketing over at BitLayer. And we're just really excited to be here in the space and to be building in the Bitcoin space. I think there's a lot of really exciting things happening for Bitcoin this year. So yeah, we're just working on some pretty groundbreaking new technology in the Bitcoin L2 space. And yeah, excited to be here.
Amazing. Well, excited to have you. We met the BitLayer team a couple weeks ago at NFTLA event and have just done a deep dive into what they're building and are really excited about this protocol, especially for what a Bitcoin Layer 2 could mean for DeFi and gaming on Bitcoin. There's some awesome possibilities. So I know they have a very long technical white paper that Kevin just hit the highlights on. I can say that a lot of that went over my head, but I know that our tech team looked into it and was very impressed by the technology. So kudos to you guys. Really excited for what you're building and keeping conversations going. Let's jump over to another project that we've had on here before and would love to hear what they've been up to so far. Let's go over to Cryptoys.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to be here. Thanks for inviting me onto the show. My name is Will. I'm the CEO and co-founder at On-Chain Studios. We make the Cryptoys digital toy platform. Best way to think about what we build is like if you took a toy company like Mattel and a gaming company like Nintendo, and those two companies had a baby and it was born on the blockchain, it would be Cryptoys. It's really a first of its kind, a digital toy company built from the ground up, digital first. Toy company has a digital first kind of model, and it's pushing the boundaries and the lens of what you could do through a toy in a fully digital world. Very fortunate to work with incredible partners like Mattel and Disney and NASCAR and others that are really pushing the boundaries of the space. And there's a lot happening around the company right now. It's a very exciting time. So stoked to be here with you all and tell you more about it.
Amazing. Well, excited to get into the questions and hear more about what you guys have been building. And finally, coming over, we saw that you just joined the Blockchain Game Alliance. We're big fans of those guys over there, so kudos for that. Let's go over to Arena Games. Can you talk to us about what you guys are doing?
Hello. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting us. I'm Tina Tin, head of partnerships at Arena Games, and once again, I'm very happy to be here. We are a Web3 gaming platform, and we are developing an SDK that help games to come to Web3. So imagine it like this: if somebody has just gameplay and they want to have fully functional Web3 game, but they cannot do it themselves, we have everything in our SDK that they might need, like all the leaderboards for the game, achievement systems, NFT minting, then NFT tracking, in-game and marketplace, all the accounts, and basically everything that they can simply integrate with their game. And then they onboard it on our platform, where we also have a community of gamers. So from day one, they have everything all at once. This is what we are building in a nutshell.
Amazing. I love it. I don't want to put you on the spot, but just out of curiosity, which engines do you guys support? Are you compatible with
Sure.
Unreal and Unity and all that?
Sure. We started building our SDK on Unity first. We are fully ready for Unity-based mobile and desktop games as well. And currently, we are working on Unreal version of our SDK.
Amazing. I love it. Cool. Well, let's go over to Spencer, who will give us a quick introduction and then take us into the questions.
Sounds good. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, my name is Spencer Vogel. I'm the business development manager with Satoshiverse and Apollo Entertainment. I've been in the crypto space for a while, since 2017, but working with the team here for the last 3 years or so. So I'm going to be asking the questions today on the space. And to get into the format a little bit, we're going to do a group question to start. I'll call on someone to get us going, and then feel free to just jump into the discussion from there. And then we'll jump into individual questions for each of you guys. And then if we have time, then we'll go back to do some group questions again at the end. And then finally, for everyone who is here listening live, we do a giveaway on every one of our spaces. So make sure you stick around until the end of the space for a chance to win that prize. So getting into our first question here, and maybe Sky a bit later, maybe you could start us off on this one. So what is your vision for the development of the metaverse, and how do you think NFTs and Web3 serve as building blocks for this new digital reality?
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of different narratives happening since I think the metaverse really kind of first blew up a couple of years ago. I'd say about 3 or 4 years ago is when the term really started to explode. I've been a part of some interesting projects or spaces or collaborations in the past where there's different implementations of this. So I think what a lot of people imagine is maybe like a very sci-fi world, some sort of like maybe VR integration, that kind of thing. But some of my very favorite experiences were pixel games where you could walk around to different buildings, and maybe one of the buildings was a Uniswap Labs building, and you could, do your DeFi stuff there, and then you could walk your, pixelated character over somewhere else, and interact with maybe another project, another DeFi project or protocol, or maybe swap NFTs or do something really neat like that. So I think to me, it's going to look a little bit different for everybody, and different people kind of have different visions of the way that they build it out. I think digital property ownership is going to be an enormous upside for the vision of the metaverse for a lot of people. I'm friends with a lot of gamers, big time gamers. I don't game as much myself anymore these days, but I think having the ability to own your in-game items as NFTs is a really, really interesting thought for the development of the metaverse in the future. I think that maybe we're going through sort of like a new era of metaverse development where we're trying to figure out what's the product market fit for these different sorts of metaverses that people are building out. So we see even in the Web2 world this an explosion of this with Facebook rebranding to Meta, going all in on that. If anyone saw kind of the Lex Friedman, Mark Zuckerberg interview where they did everything in the metaverse. I think there are just a lot of different iterations of this, and people are figuring out what they enjoy most about it.
Yeah, I think I would parrot a lot of that. I think that for me, when I think about the metaverse, and I was also kind of partial to those early experiences, pre-COVID and right when COVID started getting into, Decentraland and some of the pixel worlds and really, meeting people and talking in the metaverse, even though they were kind of low fidelity experiences, they were really cool to kind of interact with people digitally. And so, when I think of the metaverse, I think my definition probably goes beyond a lot of the experiences that we've seen in this space and otherwise. We've had experiences like Second Life for a long time, and this conception of the metaverse around that. But I think what we're going to see is kind of digital things becoming a huge part of our daily lives with advancements in AR and VR technology specifically. We're going to see the amount of digital immersion, both on the retail side and on the experiential side. Just, I believe it's going to go nuts. I think as soon as we have hardware that people wear and want to wear and can render fast enough and that the quality is there from the hardware perspective, I think the content is just going to flow in, at a ridiculous rate, especially with the evolution of AI and the rate at which, new content, especially now in 3D, can be created. I think we're just going to see ourselves inundated with digital content. And I think that there's going to be some positives there and some negatives there. And for one thing, I think Web3 is going to help us sort through some of that. I think the digital ownership layer, I think that's probably the most important one, especially when we start to talk about the blend between the digital world and the physical world, when we're saying, okay, well, maybe, people are wearing these glasses or contact lenses that, kind of have a digital overlay on the real world. So now, there's this blending of real world and digital world. The desire to have digital assets incorporated into that and things that are limited as an expression of fashion or, even like window dressings for a building or whatever it might be to kind of transform an experience in the real world with AR. I think that's going to make digital assets even more desirable. And in order for them to be limited, in order for them to be ownable, we do need that infrastructure layer that NFTs create, and that I think is going to evolve as NFTs become more of a technology and less of a buzzword, right? And we talk about that a lot on this space, about how NFTs have been a buzzword now for the last several years. And I think we're kind of going into the phase where things like the word ordinals, the word runes, the word NFTs, ERC20, all these acronyms are going to slowly just become digital assets. And the blockchains that back them are going to be back layers for these digital assets. And wallets are going to be much easier to use, and gas fees are going to be back-ended. So you have a lot more, ability to use these things in these environments. And I think as Web3 technology progresses, we're just going to be talking about the digital world and the physical world and how they blend together. So I think Web3 does a lot for that. I think the authentication layer, which is probably just as important as the ownership layer and is a big part of it, is important too with Web3. It's going to help us sift through, if you imagine the amount of digital or I'm sorry, physical fakes there are, if you're talking about Louis Vuitton purses or wallets or whatever it might be, you're going to be able to sift through digital fakes much more easily, and you'll be able to train systems to, if it's not verified, if it's not authenticatable, it won't be displayed in kind of these popular AR systems. And I think that's going to be a very important layer as well, and a way that this can kind of contribute. And then finally, we have that interoperability layer, and I think there's a lot of ways you can go with it. For me, the interoperability layer is kind of the legal layer, which is, that NFTs will allow us to create a legal infrastructure for a lot of these things, and allow us to extend certain laws that have been present in the physical world for things like use of IP to the digital world, which isn't currently possible. And it's something that NFTs potentially open the door for by making digital assets a bit more tangible. So I'll stop there because I don't want to cover the whole horizon of things. I know I went for a while there, but would love to hear if Cryptoys or Arena Games, if you guys have some thoughts on this.
Sure, sure. First of all, I'll continue. I agree with you. This is mostly what I wanted to say. I agree with every word there. I also view the development of metaverse obviously as a natural evolution of the current digital landscape that we have, and obviously, NFTs play a very important role by enabling like this secure and transparent ownership and transactions and everything. But I also believe that we have a little bit longer way to go in order like Web3 infrastructure to be fully integrated within like metaverse space as it is. Because first of all, for that, I believe that projects should not like restrict themselves by using only one or two blockchain protocols, for example, because there are plenty of very cool things to do in metaverse. For example, there is not only ERC 721 and so on. So first of all, I believe that from now on we will see a lot more very cool blockchain protocols to be used in the space. This is one, and on top of that, I agree with you as well. While you mentioned that it is very important to all that to become more user friendly for non Web3 users, in order to become a daily part of our daily life. So, yeah, I believe that we have a little bit longer way to go, but eventually it's inevitable, and I see it as part of our future, obviously.
Yeah, happy to jump in as well. I mean, look, yeah, metaverse is no doubt one of the biggest buzzwords we've had over the past couple of years, and we keep talking about this word, and you ask 10 different people what metaverse means, you get 10 different answers. The truth is, there's lots of versions of the metaverse, and if you look at this Twitter space, I mean, this is a low fidelity metaverse that we're in right now, and the way that I think about metaverse is like just the intersection of your digital life and your physical life and how they intersect and provide values in a lot of ways. I mean, look, if we go on your phone, look at this screen right now, and look at all these avatars of people all over the world listening in real time to this conversation, having emoticon responses, interacting, asking questions, raising hands. I mean, this is a low fidelity metaverse that we're in right now as we speak. And then you go into another kind of higher fidelity metaverse, and then you get into like the VR, Ready Player One style stuff. So it's about kind of which end of the spectrum you're on. And I don't think there's a one size fits all. I don't think you could ever define the metaverse as like one kind of experience that we're all going to have, as much as we're all trying to put it into a box and visualize what the metaverse means. You're going to have different flavors of the metaverse because it's the intersection of your digital and physical life. So for me, it's really about offering that transcendence for people that they don't get in the physical world and that they could experience in the digital world. So I think it all centers around that, and it's just more transcendence, 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 transcendence. But I'm excited about all the different flavors of metaverse that we're going to see here.
Yeah, I like to add more information and more opinion about this. Actually, I'm a huge fan of VR, AR, and this kind of devices, and I love the experience they provide. And but in the same time, I think that there are some limitation here. One is about a battery. Second is about a computation, the cheap computation power. And these two limit the experience for the whole ecosystem, for the whole industry. I think in maybe in the next few months, in the next few years, the things we could get much better. We have a longer range of for battery. People can carry the things around, and we have more powerful computation chips. Then we can process the better experience, better processability here. And actually, my early career for me, early stage for my career actually work as a game builder, and I also am game player too. I actually built several very popular games for a huge amount of users, and but at that time we just have some problems. The game controllers or the GMs control all the things. People the game game boss can issue a lot of assets free if they want, and the people are just competing for each other by for some weapons in some specific servers. But and after the idea of Web3 and NFTs, everything's go transparent. People can monitor the issuance of the weapons and the tools in the game. So totally different from the existing from the previous before, and the I think this can be the new building block for the future the future of the digital worlds. And actually, and if we want to transfer the assets, transfer the NFTs, uh, the blockchain is inevitable. So we just think that I just think that the Web3 and NFT things just make a new area for the game industry as comparing to the industry I just before several about 10 years ago. Okay, thanks. This is my idea.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to move on to individual questions here. And the first one is going to be for Will. So there are very few projects in the Web3 space that actually focus on the children's consumer market. I was wondering if you could, walk us through some of the challenges and considerations that you've had to go through when dealing with, building for that market in Web3.
Yeah, it's a very new segment of the market, and it kind of always surprises me. We spend so much time and energy focusing on bringing people into the Web3 digital collectible space, and converting new users into this market, but yet we ignore what is arguably the most digitally savvy, digitally native generation, which is, the kids under the age of 13. I mean, you go to a bar, you go to a restaurant, you go to any place, whether it's, your local community, whether it's Burning Man, whether it's a restaurant, you say about, hey, I'm a digital collector, you'll get 9 out of 10 people looking at you a little bit side-eyed. But if you go to a kid and you say, hey, I collect digital items, they'll be like, of course you do. So do I. I collect on Roblox. I collect Fortnite skins. What's the big deal? So, but like, this is the most digitally savvy audience that this world has, but yet they're not welcomed into the Web3 space, and they're not, because there's a lot of compliance things around that, right? Things like COPPA compliancy, privacy acts, and things like that. When you market towards children under the age of 13, you have to go through a lot of different steps in order to do that. And quite frankly, most companies don't want to put up with the work that's involved with it. Well, Cryptoys was built from the ground up to serve an all ages market. You hear me use the Nintendo analogy a lot. That's because I love the Nintendo brand. It's a family friendly, family focused brand where everybody gathers around the console and plays together. Everybody loves Mario, whether you're 60 years old or you're 60 years old. And we build the Cryptoys brand and ecosystem around that. So I think the challenges is going through every step from a compliance standpoint. We've taken a lot of heat from the community by not having a marketplace on day one. If we had a marketplace on day one, I'll tell you right now, we wouldn't have been able to achieve what we're about to be able to achieve, which is the COPPA compliancy and being able to offer this product to all ages in the right ways. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer. There's no shortcuts in doing it this way, but there's all these like little nuances that you have to take into account when you're serving an all ages customer base, including people that are under the age of 13. So for us, it's about creating really amazing, breathtaking experiences across the consumer set, across the platform. And again, doing it in a way that we think is going to be sustainable for the long term and that people of all ages will enjoy. But the big challenges, to get back to your question, is around compliancy, privacy laws, and things like that, and making incredible experiences that all ages will connect with, not just folks that are under the age of 13, but folks that are our age as well. So it takes like a really unique product approach to be able to achieve that. It takes time. And I just, I know there's a lot of our community members here in the chat. I see a lot of familiar faces here in the audience. Just want to thank everybody for their patience as we continue to build out this platform, because a lot of good stuff is coming here over the next couple of months. and we're really excited. But yeah, there are no shortcuts. You got to build it from the ground up with certain rules and regulations and compliances in mind.
Yeah, I definitely, can relate. Although we're not building for a younger audience with this game specifically. We do have two lawyers on the founding team, and so when we try to think about things through a sustainability lens, right? When you're looking to build for the future and to build a brand, to build a company, a lot of times you have to take the slow route and the more methodical route because of regulations, because of the risk that a new reg comes out and all of a sudden you have to shut it down. I think especially as a US company, that becomes very front of mind whenever you're building anything in the crypto space, let alone, a game that's going to hit all audiences and a product that's going to hit all audiences. And I think it's still tough. I think we still have some challenges as an industry. For example, the game ratings board automatically is assigning adult ratings to anything with crypto in it, right? So that's a challenge, right? Because you're now going to, even if you do have a kids product, if you want to launch it on Steam or on Epic Games Store or on any of the other products that require ratings, you're going to have an adult rating just because it has crypto in it. And those things need to change. But I also think we need to develop the infrastructure to make regulators and other boards that sort of pseudo regulate these things more both adept in the technology and understanding of what we're actually building here, and allow them to see, okay, there are control mechanisms here for projects that don't want to be in the Wild West, that want to build a legitimate brand, and that do see NFTs and crypto as not just kind of a gimmick to generate buzz around something, but as an actual, paradigm shifting technology that's going to change the way we think about digital collectibles and items. So, I think that has certainly been a challenge for us. I think there's been plenty of points along the roadmap where we say, well, this would be the easy way. This would be the way to generate some more hype. This would be the way to get a few more bucks, a few more people, but is it sustainable? Is this going to play out, best in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years for the brand that we're trying to build? And I think sometimes the answer is no, even though, the popular opinion is do this, right? And so I think it's, kudos to you guys for taking that journey, because I think it is easier not to a lot of times, but really, really love what you guys are doing there.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we're super excited. We have a lot about to hit here over these next few months. So yeah, thank you all for the patience and the support. And hey, we need more people in the space. We need, more new users and more engaged users. I believe with every fiber of my being that this is the future of the internet. And we need more people to embrace the technology. So hopefully we can be, one small part of that greater ecosystem.
Totally. Well, I'm glad that you guys are paving the way towards making that stuff happen. And I don't think I've gotten a chance to actually congratulate you since the announcement, but congrats on the NASCAR partnership. And we're going to have you on Comics and Crypto to talk about that next week. But very exciting partnership, and yeah, excited to chat more about it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, guys. We got more coming. Stay tuned.
Nice. So moving on to our next individual question. And we're going to go to the guys at BitLayer. I'll let you guys figure out how you want to split this one up. But I was curious, what do you think are the advantages for teams wanting to build on a Bitcoin L2 versus using a more efficient L1 or an EVM L2?
Yeah, I like to take this one first, mainly from the technical perspective here. Yeah, not and also include the marketing perspective. First, we think that there will be a huge asymmetric market opportunity here when we comparing the Bitcoin market cap and Ethereum market cap. It is about several times bigger, but when we saw the layer 2 market cap, the BTC layer 2 is actually empty, actually less than 10 billion. So there will be a huge opportunity for the whole big BTC L2 ecosystem. And second, And according to our knowledge, BTC ecosystem is a free world because there are no Vitalik here. We have no something of Ethereum Foundation to told us what is right, what's wrong. So it's a free open space, and it's also empty space and open space for the infra for the protocol, and it's obviously it's less competitive market, and we also can observe a lot of Ethereum builders just migrating their projects and or pivoting from the previous Ethereum projects into BTC ecosystem. This phenomenon just answer the two points I mentioned. It's a huge it's a magic opportunity here. Second, it's a free space here, and yeah, this is more of this is my general ideas about BTC layer 2, and Sky can add more information about your idea.
Yeah, I think technically it's really interesting, and the stuff that Kevin and his team are building were really, really kind of incredible and groundbreaking in the L2 space. Building via the BitVM paradigm is just being basically bringing a new era to what's possible on Bitcoin. I think this kind of happens at the same time, well, about a year after Ordinals launched and caught, massive, got some massive attention throughout the last year and a half, maybe a little bit less than that. But I think between that, the Bitcoin ETF launching earlier a few months ago, and the halving coming up in a week, alongside the Runes launch from Casey Rodamore, who's was responsible for the Ordinals protocol. I think there's just a lot of factors going on for Bitcoin right now, and I think that kind of makes this a special place to be in right now. So we keep seeing like different conferences or events that we're attending or different spaces that we're in. Even very like Ethereum related stuff like ETH Denver. There's a lot of Bitcoin Renaissance stuff going on. There was just I think just an influx of orange all over the space again, and I think people have been really hungry for this for a long time, and that Bitcoin has been somewhat dormant in what kind of activities could be done on Bitcoin and what kind of things could be built. And now we're seeing sort of an explosion of that need, and we see that there's product market fit for this kind of stuff, and being able to offer a couple of things at the same time between inheriting level 1 security and also adding Turing complete programmability for Bitcoin. I think it's kind of just a merger of things that people really want on Bitcoin. And in a week, as the halving happens, as Runes launches, as transaction fees are set to skyrocket, all these things, I think people will increasingly have a need for Bitcoin L2s.
Yes, I actually I like to add more one more point from the technical perspective. Previously, actually most of the crypto technology tech guys are the post Ethereum era. They just come to this ecosystem, the crypto industry, after 2017. So they actually have the stereotype impression about and about the Bitcoin. So they think that it's just dumb and it's not cool. But now it's totally changed. For the top developers even in the ZK guides and ZK acceleration guide, they think that implementing writing a big VM opcodes using the Bitcoin script, it can be a very cool things in this industry, and so it attracts the Bitcoin ecosystem, including big VM, big layer, just attracts the best talents in the whole crypto industry. I think this may make the big BTC layer 2 cool again.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I've been in this space for quite some time, and kind of came up through the early, probably 2017, learning about Bitcoin, really being a fan of the network, but also seeing how limited it was as anything other than a means of storing Bitcoins and transacting in Bitcoin. And as we started building in the space, we had this project called Satoshiverse, and we really wanted to pay homage to this revolution that happened with Bitcoin and the world that Satoshi kind of paved for us. When the protocol was launched, but there really wasn't a good way to do it on Bitcoin. And I think recently what we're seeing is that there were several other founders and projects and builders that were in the same boat, that really did believe in the technology, believed in the long-term sustainability of the protocol, and wanted to see new things built. But even then, we had things like ordinals. We have now runes coming. Both of those, while groundbreaking for the protocol, are extremely limited when compared to even just what you can do on Ethereum or any of the layer twos. And so what I'm excited about is kind of the acceleration of protocols like BitLayer, right? Where you are, instead of just being content with expensive NFTs and high minting prices, which is something we saw in the Ethereum ecosystem, right? We saw in that first 2020 and 2021, there was no other alternative. People weren't really thinking about, how does this scale? What does the future of this look like? Where's the protocol that's going to let us build a game on this, right? That's going to let us secure our metaverse assets, our gaming assets. And we were just content. Okay, you know what? People are making money, so we'll pay a $200 transaction fee to mint something, which in hindsight was just ridiculous, right? And totally unsustainable going forward. And I think that's a big part of the reason we've seen so many layer twos, layer threes emerge on Ethereum to address these issues for specific use cases. And so what I think that Bitcoin has now is kind of the benefit of that history, right? Builders who were there and saw the limitations of the network and adopted the layer two, even though in the beginning they may have been Ethereum maxis, that same mentality is translating itself to the Bitcoin network and the protocol. And so you're starting to see layer twos emerge immediately because of what you said, that infrastructure opportunity is there to actually build to solve some of these problems. And so while I do think ordinals and runes are going to present a very exciting moment for Bitcoin, and really have for the last year or two, I think that the future of developing on Bitcoin isn't going to be on Bitcoin layer one. I think we're going to have layer twos like you guys. I think that the meaningful implementations of the technology are going to be thinking about how do we maximize the potential of using Bitcoin as a security layer, but then having a build layer below it. And so, I think it was a really, one of the things I found most interesting about BitLayer is the EVM compatibility about it, just because that makes it so much easier for projects that are looking for a Bitcoin infrastructure solution to migrate and do some of these things. But I also think, we can't deny what Sky was saying with the renaissance that's kind of happening with ordinals and runes. I just think we need to have it in context that, ordinals and runes look like 2017 Ethereum NFTs, right? And so I think we're going to very quickly see rapid development and expansion, and those are always going to kind of be the artifacts, the things that we look back and say, hey, these are what set the foundation for this building. But I truly believe that in order for Bitcoin to scale as a building platform, we have to be tackling these solutions and doing what you guys are doing, and building protocols that can be as secure, but may not have the limitations from a throughput standpoint, from a fees standpoint, or from a storage standpoint that Bitcoin layer one has.
Awesome. Well, moving on to our final individual question here for Arena Games. So you guys both develop your own games as well as listing other developers' games on your platform. So I was wondering, in what unique ways can platforms such as Arena Games assist developers in user acquisition and users in discovery of new games?
That's a really good question, and I think it's important to mention that a few years back, Arena Games started as a game development company. It had another name, obviously, and it was a totally different company back then. But our team worked on developing games, and then our co-founders found this like Web3 gaming concept, and we started building our first game, Arena Master, on blockchain. That's when they faced limitations and the problems that developers in that space had, and they decided to start working on a platform on a bigger scope that would solve most of those problems. So one of them is obviously user acquisition, and how we are solving that is that we are making platform, first of all, as user friendly as possible. So there are a lot of similar narratives, but for example, as soon as a user joins the platform, they need just an email address, and then they get a wallet automatically generated on the back end, and they start playing very smoothly. They can choose any of the games on the platform, and they go directly to it. So we have all necessary functionalities and tools directly on the platform, which is very easy to use. So our users have no problem with it. So as soon as when we acquire them, they are not going away. First of all, on top of that, I would say the biggest advantage that we have is we have very good partners behind us. For example, a couple of months ago, we launched a tournament for one of our games in official partnership with Binance Pay. And Binance Pay spread the word in their community. They also contributed to the huge prize pool, and they helped us promote this game. And as a result, we got, I believe, 20,000 new unique users inside the game on that game. So we have more partners like this. For example, we are now working on one of the tournaments with OKX. We had a campaign with Linea where our users minted more than 1 million NFTs. Well, it was a mix of their users and our users, and we also got, I believe, more than 200,000 verified users from them. We'll have similar campaigns with Scale and Manta moving forward. We'll be launching 2 games on these chains, and they will be helping us with the promotion. So I believe, that's the biggest part. Very good partnerships, where those big projects, new chains, help us with user acquisition. In exchange, they get new games on their chains. If we talk about chains, and if there are some different type of projects, they get new users from our site, like we exchange users. So this is a very, very important part. On top of that, obviously, shout out on all our social media channels, using our newsletter and everything. Since it is a platform, it is very used to combine all the users and direct them to a specific game. It's much easier than launching one individual game and doing all the user acquisition for this specific game. So we are doing that. And as for the users, from user perspective, it is very easy for them. They enter the platform and they see all of the games there, which they can log in with one account, and where they see their balances, all of their assets are in their profile. So it's very easy to transfer different assets from different games to their profile and so on. So once again, since it's one big infrastructure and ecosystem of games, it's very easy for users to jump from game to game. So it is win-win, I would say. So yeah, these are mainly the most important parts, I would say. We are also launching our own token pretty soon, in a couple of months. and we are starting airdrop campaign for that. And the biggest partners that I mentioned, like new chains, including Linea, is part of that airdrop journey, I would say. So several games, several of our partner games were chosen to be part of this journey, and they will be deployed on those new chains, and they will get influx of new users from these chains. And on top of that, all the new people interested in our airdrop campaign will be directed to several new games. So yeah, this is how it works, and I believe it's very healthy flow and very sustainable and long term. So I believe these are the most important aspects. Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like the platform is extremely accessible both for games and for users. And yeah, congrats on everything you guys are building, and we'll be paying attention for your airdrop campaign coming up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. So I think we have time for one more group question here, and maybe Will, you could start us off on this one. What do you think are some of the biggest barriers to mainstream adoption for Web3 games and just Web3 in general? And how can some of those things become overcome?
Yeah, I maybe I can take this first. Actually, I as a co-founder of some of the BTC Layer 2 projects, and also myself have been working in this crypto industry for about 6 years, since 2017. I was always thinking about the mass adoption, and for me, it is that I think there are several barriers here. First is about the entry barrier, which means that the wallet things, the wallets, the about the crypto, the about the key faces, the memorex, and the private keys and public keys. This is just too complicated for the normal user. You just can't make this understandable by for the older people. So even for the young people, this not easy to understand and not easy to protect themselves. So this is totally different from the Web2 experience. So I spent last year spent more than 9 months building MPC platforms plus an AA platform um, that enable users and developers can use the SaaS software as a service, wallet as a service, to provide a wallet for the game users, or for the normal users. I think in the past 2 years, the entry point or the entry barrier for the crypto or for the Web3, it's much lower, and the people are doing very good job for the guestless, for the keysless. So I think this is getting much better now. And second, I think the second barrier is that the PMF, profit market fit for Web3, or it means the AKA the real demands for the Web3. What it means. I think now the crypto or the Web3, it is doing a very good job in the finance sector, and it is great demand in Africa, which meant that the banking system is not very strong there. The people can some most of the people can have a bank account, and even in that place, for transferring the stable coins, because their currency is unstable, using the IMB, use the USD as the stable coin to for the daily life. It's just solve their problem, like the South Africa, like the Africa, some of the countries in Africa. This the crypto and Web3 just solve their problem. So they will be a great demand here. So to conclude, I think first is about the barrier about the mainstream adoption, mass adoption. First is about entry barrier, which is a wallet, because we should have a better wallet. And second, people just need to figure out which is the best fit for the Web3, aka the crypto or the banking system for the less developed less developed countries in Africa, and these two will help the new developer entering this space, in this new the crypto space. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just add a little bit to what Kevin mentioned. I think product market fit is going to be really big this cycle. I think that I actually used to spend some time playing and reviewing games a couple years ago. Some of those games are actually just, finally the bigger AAA ones are finally coming to market now. I think there was lots of questions about sort of tokenomics, the play to earn model. I think that people have had a few years to work on that and figure out what fits best. There's some really cool stuff that I heard about in the works back in the day. I think Shrapnel is one that has sort of like a tournament system where user generated maps or NFTs or stuff like that goes through like this tournament to see, users vote, and they stake, the native coin onto those to be able to put it through the tournament gauntlet and see which are the most valuable. And then users who voted on the winning maps or items and the users who created them were able to like share in token rewards. So I think some of this innovative stuff going on there was really exciting when I was looking more into it. I think there's some product market fit definitely for digital ownership with NFTs, and being able to trade those items on third-party marketplaces or in-game marketplaces. So I think there's some really, really bullish stuff in the space, but I think also that narrative will take some time to catch up with maybe Web2 gaming. So we'll see a lot of that in the next little while.
All right, I'll come in on this one with maybe a somewhat unpopular opinion in the current times, but I think, I agree completely that the biggest barrier to entry is still and probably has been the technical, onboarding difficulties and barriers that people have. I think the tech has caught up. I mean, there's probably 20 to 30 infrastructure providers just in the gaming space that are doing, account abstraction and social logins and infrastructure on that end. So that's definitely gotten a lot better, but we still have some ways to go. I think one of the toughest things in this industry, just from my personal perspective, is that we kind of keep shooting ourselves in the foot on the narratives that we get behind as an industry, and the work that's being done is oftentimes somewhat short-sighted, and I think that we've seen kind of what happened every cycle around these narratives, and in 2017 it was kind of the ICO boom, and we saw lots of people make a lot of money very quickly, and then all of a sudden lots of people lose a lot of money very quickly, because a lot of these ICOs were just scams, and the regulators, that was kind of the first time that their ears perked up and the SEC subpoenas started going out. And so that was kind of the first, crypto is a scam narrative that we put out, and that, a lot of that we have ourselves to blame for. I think in 2021, we saw it with the PFP boom. We saw way too many PFP low effort collections with no means of using the funds raised to actually do anything and build anything. And again, what did we see? Well, we saw mainstream celebrities come in, buy all this stuff, a lot of hype, and then, boom, predictably, a lot of people lost money. A lot of people were in a bad place. The market crashed, and there was a negative narrative around NFTs. So, that's something we have to unpack. And then probably around the same time, 2021, we saw, early Web3 play to earn games, right? And we saw them building completely unsustainable token models, where the token was being emitted directly through the game and they couldn't scale. And those I would probably chalk up to just bad experiments rather than bad intent. But we saw a narrative emerge that Web3 gaming was a scam and wasn't going to be sustainable. And predictably so, I would say, kind of looking back, right, in hindsight. And so I think, it's great, but it's also a little bit unfortunate. At least, again, this is my personal opinion, and I'm not going to knock the entire industry as a whole. I've seen some incredible communities develop because of some of these projects, but right now, I think the whole meme coin narrative is probably going to be the next thing that we look back on and say, hey, this looked like a good idea. There was a lot of fun around it. People like to gamble. But as far as the mainstream is concerned, it's going to be the same cycle. A lot of people are going to make some money. A lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. And then the outside is going to report on, hey, what the hell happened here? And then the regulators are going to get involved. And then the mainstream is going to say, oh, this is what they're doing over there in the crypto space. So, I'm excited. I'm excited about the buzz in the market. I'm excited to go to conferences and hear about cool stuff. And I'm really excited when I see a meme coin that then takes that kind of insertion of money and goes and builds something with it, right? They build a project, they build infrastructure, they build a community even that is more than just, an always up message on a token. I think we're going to unfortunately see a bit of that with the launch of runes. I think there's going to be some legitimate projects that use them in a very creative way, and then I think you're going to see all the bad actors come in right away, and a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. So I guess that's at least if you're in our community or anyone listening, I would say, always use caution. But when things are very hyped, to use even more caution. Not to say you shouldn't participate. I think everyone should be making their own decisions. But I think the narrative around meme coins right now is probably going to be a barrier to entry that's going to cause us to pull back a little bit moving forward into what could be a very positive phase for the metaverse and crypto. I think we're going to have to get over a little speed bump coming up. And I know that's just my personal opinion. And I know it might be an unpopular one right now because people are really, really excited about some of this stuff. But I guess what I'd say is be excited, do your research, be ready to don't bet what you can't lose, because in this world right now, a lot of this, more than anything, meme coins are, gambling, and expect that there's going to be regulatory scrutiny. And, I think that it takes them a while, but I'd be surprised if some of these things don't result in lawsuits and all that. So do your research. I think that's my cautionary tale. I spent the last 4 or 5 days kind of diving in on some of this stuff a little bit every day, and it's a little worrisome as a lawyer. But yeah, I love what's happening in the ecosystem generally, and super excited about Bitcoin. Not sure that this is where we should be placing our emphasis, but I like the protocol, the possibilities this could open for real use cases in the future. And so that's my 2 cents on these barriers, and hopefully that helps some of you.
Awesome. Well, we are at the end of the space here, so we're going to announce our winner, and then our prize this week, we're giving away 5 Satoshi's crystals. So the winner of our 5 Satoshi's crystals this week is Hanano, or at the real Hanano. So Nick, I'll let you describe a little bit about how to claim and what Satoshi's crystals are. But thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations. Satoshi's crystals are the primary NFT resource of our ecosystem. In the game, you do all sorts of crafting and forging, and Satoshi's crystals are the way that you do that. It's the main thing. So all you're going to have to do to claim them is create a Legions 2029 account. You'll do that at Legions 2029, game.legions2029.com. That'll bring you to the registration page. You'll just register and then just DM us your username. These are definitely what'll happen then is it'll get added to your account, and then you'll have the option to either mint them or use them within the game, which I strongly encourage you to do. For those of you who didn't win, definitely still check out the game. It's a free download. And so what we'll do now is, I just want to thank everyone. I know a couple people had to drop off because we had to run a little bit. We ran a little bit over, mainly because I blab a lot, and I know, I'm guilty of that. But thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure to have all the speakers. Thank you to the listeners who were here live. It's always a pleasure to see tons of people in the audience listening and gives us that motivation to do this every week. So thank you for joining.